and James Harrison, who was on the Nightcap podcast hosted by TJ Huzmanzada, Who's Your Mama, for those of you who grew up in the Bengals era there. He had an interesting theory on how the Pittsburgh Steelers season could go and what could come of it if they start to lose. The Pittsburgh Steelers obviously are rocking with Aaron Rodgers this season. They are expecting the best, seeing what happens. It's the end of the road of the you gotta just rock with the veteran quarterback that you have, and then you go from there, and so on and so forth. However, if things go south, James Harrison sees an outcome this season that I don't think many people have on their Steelers bingo card, and that's this quote: I think that they can make it work if they're winning. If they start losing and it's looking like they ain't going to make it above 500, I think it gets real ugly real fast, to the point of they may just be like, you know what, let's let this dude go mid-season. For Aaron, it's just get him out of here and put one of those other quarterbacks in. Aaron Rodgers getting cut, I will bring up last year when it was about this time, and we are in the abyss. There isn't much happening, and you need to make some noise somewhere, somehow. Last year, not once, not twice, I believe 3 times, I personally was told to write a story about how someone predicted that the Pittsburgh Steelers would at some point cut Russell Wilson during the season. At one point, it was during training camp, which, I mean, wild times to be cut during training camp. Didn't happen. Obviously, he played no matter what. Justin Fields played a little bit. Aaron Rodgers is the guy this year. I mean, wild theory, unless you feel otherwise. I mean, would it in the worst of the worst situations, would it even be a consideration from the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin specifically, because he's the guy that's going to make that call, and we all know how stubborn he is?
Listen, I want to be 100% straightforward about this. There is no chance that Aaron Rodgers gets cut during the 2025 season outside of something horrific, some sort of personal conduct policy violation, something that is like, unheard of. Poor performance alone, going 1-5, any sort of combination of losses guarantees that nothing will happen. Aaron Rodgers, even if he performs at his absolute worst, will still probably be starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers and will absolutely still be on the team. So as much as I would like to think, and I really appreciate you pointing out the Russ comparisons from last year, because there was noise going into training camp just surrounding the position again. And this does feel kind of like the abyss calling in some ways. But yeah, I think there is zero chance. I think the only situation that happens is if we found out that Aaron Rodgers had committed mass murder.
Like
that's like, to be so crazy. Like, it's not like he threw 6 interceptions in the first 3 games, so they're gonna just cut him. Like, no, that won't happen.
You have to look at the situation around him. Mason Rudolph is the backup quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't have a sweet spot for Mason Rudolph. They have we don't really trust you for Mason Rudolph. Will Howard's the guy after that. I think it would take a tornado that wiped out all of Pittsburgh except for Will Howard for Will Howard to start a game in 2025. I just don't think that at any point the Pittsburgh Steelers would even consider it. And on top of that, Mike Tomlin's the head coach. So that's the realistic part of this. It's fun to say what could happen and what would cause it and all this stuff. The realistic part of this is Mike Tomlin made a commitment 3.5 months ago, that Aaron Rodgers was going to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. The minute that he did that, nobody else was given any shot. It's over. It's done with. At this point, it's fun. We're having a good time. But at the same time, Mason's not a real starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Will Howard is a rookie. They're not even going to give him an opportunity, even if things went south. It is Aaron Rodgers, fight you out of here. And then the second part of this is, I mean, unless I'm wrong, okay? And I have too high hopes for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I find it so hard to believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields are somehow going to have a better outcome with a stretch of games that was the worst stretch of games I've ever seen in my entire life, then Aaron Rodgers, pretty decent schedule, and a team that is certainly improved from a year ago. Like, is it just me? Am I too optimistic? But I find it so hard for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be at any point this season going into the final stretch saying, we're about to finish under 500. For the first time in 20 years, we're about to finish under 500 with a decent defense, good running game, a developing offensive line, DK Metcalf, and a guy that, yeah, with the Jets won 5 games, but I've seen a lot of quarterbacks go to the Jets and win 5 games. Pittsburgh, it seems to be the opposite of this. I just don't like, is there any, maybe I'm being too optimistic in this situation.
I mean, Noah, my friend, I will certainly be honest and say that I think you are maybe too optimistic in general about the Steelers, but I'm also probably too pessimistic about the Steelers in general. So, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of confidence and maybe a little bit of overconfidence in them. That being said, your logic is 100% accurate here. Like, if the Steelers could manage to be a 500 team or a wild card team with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback and Kenny Pickett taking over and anyone else, God knows who else under center. Yeah, I find it very unlikely that they will enter the last few weeks of the season, 6-8, 6-9, trying to fight for the last few weeks just to get to 500. I think they're going to be right around the playoff race again. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback while that is happening. And to suggest that it is not going to happen, excuse me, would just be a total sort of like deviation from how the Steelers have operated for the past decade. Yes, we are all frustrated with it not being enough and no Super Bowl coming out of it, but they are a perennial playoff team regardless. So
yes.
I don't,
you just can't look at them in any other light until proven otherwise. Like, I'm just sorry, but Aaron Rodgers is, if it was, again, like Will Howard, if it was Mason Rudolph, if it's even Russ again, to be totally honest, like, you could look at it and go, things could go real south real fast. Things could get really bad. There's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that I sit here and go, I don't know, man. If the Steelers don't look at Aaron Rodgers as a superhero, which they don't want him to be the savior, which they don't. They're going to rely on the running game, which is improved, the defense, which is improved, and just how they play football. And they're going to get worse. I don't know. Doesn't add up in my eyes. Do I think they're Super Bowl contenders? No. Do I think that Aaron Rodgers gets cut by week 9? No. Now, that being said, the drama would be wild. And I mean, sometimes I'm all about the drama. If we're going to be honest, I'm a little bit of a dramatic human being, and I'm very much so okay with it from time to time. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yes.
In your eyes, okay, and we won't give this too much attention. In your eyes, what is the wild scenario that would need to happen for this to become true?
Man, it is genuinely difficult for me to imagine a scenario like that playing out in my head. Can I offer a slight variation?
Yeah,
and I think the one concern that feels slightly plausible is that the wheels fall off the car, so to speak, for Aaron Rodgers. If there is a situation where he suddenly becomes a turnover machine for whatever reason, say they go into the season, we talked about how much control should Aaron Rodgers have. Say they do give him that control, and the first 6 weeks of the season are lots of turnovers, however they come, fumbles, interceptions. I can see a situation where they are under 500 at that point, and there is a very strong consideration to switch the starting quarterback. That's as far as I can get my mind to go, to be quite honest, is like, how badly does he have to perform until Mason Rudolph comes in, or until Will Howard is given a chance? Not, can he play so poorly and be so much of a distraction that the Steelers would rather just be done with him by the middle of the season? Because at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin would not have put 4 months of constant communication, relationship building, coaching tactics really into Aaron Rodgers just to give up on him before Christmas.
I agree. I agree.
And
Dude,
so it's hard for me to even get there. Do you think there's anything realistic that I could just poke holes in?
and no, there's nothing realistic. If we were gonna just like toss out a fun, not so fun reality here, like it would just be exactly what you said. The guy's thrown 15 interceptions by Christmas, and it's bad. The Pittsburgh Steelers are, 2-3 games under 500, and Aaron Rodgers is clearly the problem. But to be honest, like Russ was a problem last year, and they didn't do anything about it. So I just think that the stubbornness is real with Mike Tomlin. And it would be, now that being said, I don't expect bad things from Aaron Rodgers. But shout out to James Harrison, man, because he thinks that it's going to get crazy real fast. And if it does, he is the only one that's called it so far to this point, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of. All right.
I'll also give him credit real quick before we move on that he did say, winning covers all the BS. So
yeah, which it does.
He gave himself a nice little comfortable caveat there where, like, say the Steelers go 5-0, he's like, winning covers it all up, man.
Yeah. Who cares?
Baby.
Who cares? Yeah, that is Steve-O. He played with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. The guy knows drama. You know what I mean? He was Martavis Bryant was around at points. I mean, like the guy knows what's going on in a locker room. He went through the Todd Haley, like he's been through the Bruce Arian, like he's been through the drama of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He knows. The guy knows. Sometimes you just gotta win football games and everything's just fine.